Hi, in this video we're going to be going over lesson 4.3, multiplying improper fractions by fractions. Now before we start, I just want to touch on a couple of important vocabulary words. They are proper fraction and improper fraction. Now a proper fraction is a fraction whose numerator is smaller than the denominator, such as 3/4. On the other hand, an improper fraction is a fraction whose numerator is larger than the denominator, such as 6/5. When the numerator is larger than the denominator, this tells us that our fraction is greater than 1 whole. In today's lesson, we're going to be starting by using models to help us multiply improper fractions by fractions. Now to start, we're going to represent 6/5 with a model. Since 6/5 is greater than 1 whole, we need to, this time, draw two rectangles. Since our denominator is 5, we're going to divide each of our holes into 5 pieces. And then we're going to shade in 6 of those pieces to represent 6/5. Now I'm going to switch colors and we're going to represent 3/4 in our model. Since our denominator is 4, we're going to split our model into 4 pieces horizontally. Now watch as I do my model. I go across into our second hole as well. And since our numerator is 3, I'm going to go ahead and shade in 3 of our 4 pieces that we just created. Now again, watch how I didn't shade in any of this part of my model because I'm finding 3/4 of 6/5, not 3/4 of 2. Now that I've shaded in my 3/4, I'm going to go ahead and check how many pieces of overlap there are. There are 18 pieces of overlap, which becomes our numerator. And then if we look at 1 whole, so that's just one of our rectangles in our model, there are 20 pieces in 1 whole, and so 20 is our denominator. Now we want to make sure we simplify our answer, and 18/20 isn't simplified, but we can divide both 18 and 20 by 2 because both are even numbers. So when we divide 18 by 2, we get 9. And when we divide 20 by 2, we get 10. So 9/10 is our answer for 6/5 times 3/4. Now we're going to look at the same exact example, this time multiplying without using a model. Now if you remember back to lesson 4.1, we had a couple of different strategies that we could use to multiply. And so I'm going to walk us through how to simplify first and then multiply. So again, remember that we're looking at our diagonals and seeing what we can simplify. If we look at 6 and 4, both 6 and 4 are even numbers, which means we can divide both of them by 2. When we divide 6 by 3, or 6 by 2, we get 3, and we divide 4 by 2, we get 2. We take a look at 3 and 5. Unfortunately, 3 and 5 don't have any factors in common, so we can't simplify there. We take a look at what we now have left. We have 3 times 3 over 5 times 2. And then we just multiply straight across. 3 times 3 equals 9, and 5 times 2 equals 10. Now I'll go ahead and walk you through if you wanted to multiply first and then simplify at the end. So we had 6/5 times 3/4. So remember, in this strategy we just multiply straight across. When we multiply straight across, we would do 6 times 3, which equals 18, and 5 times 4, which equals 20. If we take a look at what factors 18 and 20 have in common, we can divide both by 2. When we divide both 18 and 20 by 2, we get 9/10. We're going to take a look at one more example for lesson 4.3. This is an example where the strategy where you simplify before you multiply would come in handy so that your numbers that you're working with aren't as large. Go ahead and pause the video and see if you can figure out how to simplify your fractions before you multiply. Alright, I'm going to walk us through how to solve it now, so go ahead and check your work and see if you got the same answer. So we're going to start by looking at our diagonals. We have 15 and 3. Now I know that 3 is a factor of 15, so I'm going to go ahead and divide both 15 and 3 by 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5, and 3 divided by 3 is 1. If I look at my other diagonals, I have 9 and 11. Unfortunately, there aren't any factors in common between 9 and 11. So now we're ready to multiply. We have 5 times 11 over 9 times 1. 5 times 11 is 55, and 9 times 1 is 9. So 55/9 is our answer. However, we don't want to leave our answer as an improper fraction, and so we need to change it into a mixed number. When you have an improper fraction, or any fraction, the fraction bar acts like a division symbol. So really we can think of 55/9 as 55 divided by 9. So we can think of how many times does 9 fit into 55? 9 fits into 55 6 times, and we're going to have a remainder. 6 times 9 equals 54, which means that we have 1/9 left over.